Hi.
It's what you're doing, making me feel like I'm falling.
Hey guys, for today's video, we are doing Figurine Makeovers Part 2. Figurine Makeovers is definitely a new series on my channel, and we're still figurining it out. I'm sorry, I just had to say that pun. I saw someone comment that the other day, and it just... excellent. It's basically what it sounds like. I take a figurine and turn it into a totally new figurine, give it a makeover. In my homemade squishy video, I had a really hard time making anything a squishy. Not the bunnies! We had a lot of very large disasters. Out of that video, we got 5 very hard cupcakes that were almost like figurines, and I decided it would be really fun to give them a makeover. Since I know we do have a ton of new people here, I want to put out a very large disclaimer. Number 1, I am a beginner at clay. I just barely know what I'm doing, and I am trying my best. So everyone be nice to me. Number 2, in the past, I have used the clay that you need to bake in the oven. It is very hard for me to use. It bruised my hands. I put it in the oven. I burned it. Everything was horrible. And then I switched to Crayola air dry clay. It's way easier to mold. You can re-wet it. And I had a much better time with that. Number 3, that's it. I don't think I have a number 3, actually. I guess my disclaimer was just, I don't know how to use clay. Yes, I have a band-aid on my middle finger. I somehow hurt myself and don't recall how or where. Let's get started on these figurine makeovers. Okay, so if you recall, in part 1, we started with 5 very hard cupcakes. We gave 3 of them a makeover. 5 minus 3 is 2, which means there are 2 cupcakes left to give a makeover to. Make sense? I'm starting off with this blue cupcake. How? I don't know why I hit it that hard. I'm taking out the Crayola air dry clay and just, well, sticking my fingers in it and taking a large chunk out of it. You'll notice that the cupcake is blue already. That is because in part 1, I thought I would have enough time to do all 5 cupcakes. I was wrong. This cupcake is being turned into a blueberry muffin. I love blueberry muffins, and we haven't done the color blue yet, so I thought a blueberry would be perfect for this. Okay, I want everyone to hear me out. I'm gonna say something a bit crazy. As I was creating this piece, I slowly started to realize something. Blueberries are just tiny blue tomatoes.
What?
I know they taste different, but in shape. A blueberry and a tomato. The only difference is a blueberry is smaller and it's blue.
I don't think anyone can disagree with that.
In part 1, all 3 of the cupcakes were fruit or vegetable themed with an animal on top / growing out of the fruit or vegetable. Honestly, a weird concept, but I decided to stick with it because I want these to all be a set of figurines. So this one is a tiny little penguin that is sitting on top of a blueberry. Once this clay addition was hardened and secured on top of the muffin, it was time to paint. I started off by painting the cakey muffin color as well as the blue wrapper. The blue color is remarkably similar to the previous blue color, an imperceptible difference in color that no one cares about except me. I also painted the blueberry with a dark blue bloop color. All right, let me just get it out of my system. Bloop, 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 bloop. Look at the little bloop, bloop. It's a blueberry. All right, I might stop calling it that. Can we call the penguin Mr. Bloop? I feel like that would be great. The blueberry is sitting in a pool of hot blueberry sauce, which is why it looks like it's melting a tiny bit. Our tiny, awkward little penguin is sitting very precariously on top of this blueberry. I wanted his pose to almost look like he's a little bit scared that he might roll off of the blueberry. Dipping into this lime green color, and we're painting the leaves with the lime green. I personally am a fan of lime green, even if it's unrealistic for leaves. I think it looks Nice. Our precarious penguin does have a little blueberry barrette. For his beak and his, what is it called? His flippers? Yeah, I think penguin feet are called flippers. We're gonna go with that. I'm not gonna Google it. I'm gonna just trust that I'm correct. I've also dipped into this very pale blue-green color and given our little
Blueberry penguin a belly.
And now it's time for the details. I added a little beak hole, a mouth, as well as some little lines for the leaves. Just some added dark green details. For the highlights, I dipped into some white, added a highlight to the big blueberry, as well as the blueberry sauce that is covering the top of this muffin. And now it's time for the best part, the eyes. Like I said earlier, I wanted this precarious penguin to look a little awkward and like he might roll off of the blueberry. Last but not least, I signed my signature and then took out my high gloss varnish. This is by Angelus. That paintbrush had purple in it and almost ruined everything, but don't worry, I noticed in time and nothing was destroyed. And here we have the final results for Mr. Bloop and his blueberry muffin figurine. I gotta say, I really like Mr. Bloop and his awkwardness. He is just my favorite figurine makeover so far. He's got like a cute stance, you know? He's just like, why am I on top of a blueberry? And I think we can all echo that question with him. Why are you on top of a blueberry? How'd you get up there? Let's move on to the next figurine makeover and the last of the very hard cupcakes. To start off, I'm taking a pretty decent chunk of this clay, arguably too much clay for the task at hand. And then I switched and started creating very small balls of clay. And that is because I decided to turn this cupcake into a grape-flavored cupcake.
I don't like that.
This is the most unrealistic flavor of all of the cupcakes and muffins. Every other cupcake and muffin was an actual flavor. We had strawberry shortcake, carrot cake, lemon poppy, blueberry, and now we have grape. I know, it's not really realistic. The only other thing I could have thought of was an eggplant, but I don't think anyone wants to eat an eggplant muffin. I would much rather do a grape cupcake, so that's where I landed. For the animal inside the grape, I decided to do a frog. You might be asking yourself, why? Why would you combine a grape with a frog? And the reason doesn't really make sense, but I will explain it to you anyway. In a cartoon frog, they put the two eyes in these two balls on top of its head. I thought, wow, it has two balls on top of its head, and a grape has a bunch of balls on the bottom. There were a lot of spherical things going on that would make this go well together. I realize this makes no sense, but who said I was here to make sense? I'm creating two very large leaves to go on top of the grape. I did this in the figurines in the first part, and I really liked it enough to do it again. So here are the two giant leaves, and I'm sticking the frog on top of it. Because this is a grape, and grapes grow off of vines, I decided to add a vine growing out of the top of this frog's head. This decision does raise some questions about the frog. Is the frog a grape, or is the frog a frog? We don't really know yet. I glued it to the cupcake, and now we are finally taking out our paint. I decided to paint the bottom wrapper with this purple, pink, magenta color, and I painted the cupcake with a cupcake color. I painted the grapes with the same magenta, purpley purple color as the wrapper. For the leaves, I initially picked this darker green color and decided it was too dark, so I lightened it up and then painted the leaves with the lighter green color. And here is where we started to go wrong. I decided to make an even lighter green color and paint our frog a light green color. I thought frogs are typically green, let me paint it green, but it caused so many issues that I will explain in a second. But first, for continuity's sake, I must show you that I did paint an initial face on this frog. Remember it? hold it in your brain. It will be erased. You'll notice I'm holding this whole thing by the stem, and that really caused some issues. The stem broke in half. This wasn't the end of the world, but it was the end of Whittle Green Froggy's world, and his stem will never be the same. I'm serious, it literally could not be fixed. It was just like a crack in it. Oh well. I will now explain why the light green color on the frog is wrong. We have purple and green, orange, orange, yellow, yellow, pink, pink, purple, green. No. No, 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 no. The frog needs to be purple or the whole thing is ruined. And I really seriously mean that. The whole set of them would be absolutely ruined. After repainting this frog from green to purple, I started to feel a lot better about this piece. But then we had another problem occur. I started to create the eyes for this kooky, crazy frog. I really wanted the frog to look like he's like having a great time, but he's a little crazy. And I think I took it a little too far. The eyes are just so creepy.
Get away from me! I'm so scared!
And I created Marina's eyes, so I know creepy eyes when I see them, and these eyes are just disturbing. But I thought maybe I just needed some time to get used to it. Maybe I can get over it being the creepiest eyes I have ever created in my whole life. I added some grape jelly sauce to the top of this cupcake, and I was just the whole time looking at those disturbing eyes.
I don't like that at all.
I had to change it. I may have been able to get away with keeping the eyes like this, but honestly, I think it was just for the best. I really wanted the eyes to not look so creepy. I wanted them to look a little kooky, a little crazy, a little bit like, wow, we're having a good time, but not that scary. I think I'm happier with the way the eyes look now. The broken stem kind of looks like a straw, so that's weird. Maybe he's grape juice. Overall, this figurine took the most amount of time out of all of the figurine makeovers that I did. There were just so many things that went wrong and so many things that I changed over and over again. And at the end of it, I think it was worth it. Maybe. Here are both of the figurines that I did for part 2, and I have to say, when I look at them both side by side, I do really love the crazy grape juice character, and I actually really love that the vine looks like a straw. It just adds to the whole craziness. And now it's time for the grand reveal. We have all 5 of the figurine makeovers that I've done in part 1 and part 2. I would have loved to do every color of the rainbow, but I only had 5 cupcakes, so I had to skip green. I did, however, incorporate green into each of the cupcakes so that every color could be represented. I am very happy with all of the characters that I created in these figurine makeovers. I think the one that I most personally relate to is probably the grape, even though the process for creating him was torture. I hope you guys liked this video as much as I did. I would love to do more figurine makeovers if that's something you guys are interested in. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week for another video. Bye!
Hey, playing songs on the radio, sing along